Hey, it's Cecil, and it's Sunday, and welcome back to another speed build. We are continuing in with our back to school series, and we are rebuilding Copperdale High. I have done this before for my own personal reasons, just like for my own personal gameplay. I also have a version that I use when I'm streaming that I personally built. So you could say that I'm a fan of rebuilding the high school. So this was great, which is good because I have over 4 hours of footage that I had to condense down into a speed build. But anyways, so we're rebuilding Copperdale High. I was not good. I'm gonna be so on. Oh my god, I didn't even put a thermostat in it. It's okay. I haven't put it on the gallery yet. Anyways, I was not good. I did not abide by any pack limitations. Really, I don't think I used too many. But also, do I trust myself? Of course not. So, we'll find out. We'll see. I was having a great time though, honestly. I wanted to make the school colors be like blue and orange. I don't know what the canon school colors are because there's like a few different options you can choose from. Also, this moment doing the roof was the only, I mean, I say this moment. My footage is lagging so badly because my editor is always having a rough time. But anyways, doing the roof, when I went to put the round platforms on top of the round rooms, it actually worked. It actually did it. Outstanding. I will say though, just real quick, later at the very end, when I'm painting the ceilings and I get to these round rooms, I can't paint the ceiling of the round bit. And you'll see what I mean when it gets to that point. But basically, and it was like doing the ceiling of the like flat triangle part of the room, but it wasn't getting the round bit and instead was glitching to the floor. And I checked, I made sure I had built the ceiling. I had, but it wasn't showing any ceiling there. Um anyways, very annoying. And I'm gonna take a look through the answers EA thing where it's like, hey, bugs. I shouldn't be surprised. Round walls. I was like, I want a rounded front of this building because my high school had a round wall in the front and I was thought it was kind of snazzy. I was like, yeah, that'll be so fun. I have come to disagree with myself. It was not so fun. I did not have a good time. But I like how it looks. So, there's that. You will notice that I put way more classrooms in here than the regular build. That just comes with the game. I do this all the time, where I will instead make classrooms for every or just about every subject. Yeah. Technically, there's only two classrooms, right? Because there's only two classes at a time in the game. So it's a little. If you're not as dedicated as I am to the vibes, if you're not as committed to the vibes as I am for unknown reasons, um, then you don't have to worry about it. You can just pick the two most basic classrooms and be like, these are the classrooms. But if you are like me, what you do is when your sim is in high school, before class, you check their schedule, and then, based on what their schedule is, you go and you click on one of the whiteboards, and then this bit of UI comes up where it's like, assigned to class 1 or assigned to class 2. And then you assign the classes to the different classrooms. And then when the bell rings, your sim will go there. And then while they're eating lunch, you can assign them to a different classroom. So for their next class of the day, they'll go to that classroom instead. And yes, it's silly. There's only two teachers. This is This is many extra steps that you have to be paying attention to in order to play this game. However, I find that the actual gameplay of high school years is kind of lacking. Like, I feel like they tried to do a lot, and because they tried to do a lot, it wasn't very good. I feel like with expansion packs, it's always hit or miss where they're like, or it's always like one thing or the other, where they're like, they either are doing way too much, and because of that, they don't go into depth on anything, or they do, they go into like super depth on something, but then there's not a lot there, and it doesn't feel like a full expansion pack. I wish. I wish that it was not like that, but alas, what can you do? So, there's not a lot of gameplay when you're in the high school. Now, don't get me wrong, I love before class having the tasks to do. I love lunchtime and all of that. I love that you can loiter after school. Like, it's great. It's great. It's great. One more time and you'll believe me. It's great. I do like the mundane part of just like sitting with your sim while they're in class. Sometimes that can be fun, but also you don't have any options. Like, tell me why I'm just watching my sim be in class and I can't be like, hey, they should be taking notes, or like if they had taken some of the university options, right, or like even just the options that your sim has while they are away at school while you're not playing them, and you had that interactable in class, that would have been so much better. Like, because then you could be like, oh, my sim has not finished their homework, so like you're in your first class of the day and you're like trying to finish your homework, you know? And I don't know. I think there were a lot of things that could have been done just a little better. But it's okay. It's okay. Or like even when they're taking the exam, I would love it if like I love that there's little pop-ups throughout the day. I love that, there's some interactions, but I would like to have more control over the story building. You know what I mean? Anyways, and because we don't really have that, it's really important to me personally, just for me. I know this is not for everybody. It's really important for me to be able to, like, control the way that my Sims are just, like, at least control the environment that they're in. To be like, okay, well, if I can't have any math class specific interactions, I'm at least going to have a room that has a math class vibe. And so that's kind of what we did. Although I will say that math is a terrible example because that's like one of the most basic rooms. I would say that math class and then maybe social studies coming in at second. Although social studies is supposed to in my head, in my designation for these classrooms, is supposed to share a classroom with the business class. So it's like a dual purpose classroom. There's 2 dual purpose classrooms. So there's 6 classrooms overall. And the 2 that felt like they could be split up the most are the ones that I did. So there's business/social studies, and then there's language arts/foreign language, which works out really well, in my opinion. My foreign language teacher, my German teacher, was also an English teacher when I was in high school, so it feels right, it feels fitting. But we will definitely go through so that you can see it, because this build is at 800% speed, which is why my computer is lagging, crying, having a bad time. But that's okay. So, yeah, I made one of the rounded areas the principal's office, and then I made the other rounded area like a teacher's lounge. And I agree with my own decision to do that, for sure. There's way more lockers than you will ever realistically need while playing the game. Um, I stand by that every time because sometimes it's nice to have options, and also it's a high school. Like, it fills in the space. I could have gone crazy. I could have put them all down the hall with the like classrooms, but I didn't. I reserved that for like the lunch area, which that's another decision I stand by. Okay, look, I I was thinking like, oh, and I'll make a cafeteria area, and I was like, I feel like it might be best if my Sims eat lunch and they're so close to their next class, whatever class that might be. Um, because sometimes your Sims get distracted when they're walking places, or they just don't go where they're supposed to go when they're supposed to go there. And so sometimes you just got to make it easy for them, and that was the goal here. That was the goal. So we made the quote unquote cafeteria just the hallway. Um, yeah. You may also notice that I did put a pool in this build. I don't know how many high schools have pools. I every high school that I've been inside of has had a pool because like we've had swim teams and stuff like that. So I don't know how normal that is, but I felt like it was a necessary addition. So I did put one in. There's not a lot going on in that area. It's kind of supposed to look like it's a part of the gym upstairs. I considered putting stairs there, but then I was like, I don't really think I want to. So I didn't. Sometimes that's just how it's got to go. But I don't know. I like the vibe overall. I made sure that every classroom had at least 8 places to sit. Um, I cannot remember for the life of me how many students actually spawn, like, by default, but I feel like 8 is pretty good, and if you play with a mod that increases the amount of Sims you can have on lot, or increases the amount of classmates that you're gonna have, then, like, you can kind of change that. But, okay, what I was doing for the science classroom, which I also made sure had 8 seats, I did it at these counter islands with like some sinks at them. This is another thing that feels very this is how it was for my high school. We had this like back area technically to the classroom, but I figure I might as well just make it the area where we would do like lab work, you know? Um and obviously there were sinks there to clean up and all that good stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is where we're gonna put that. Um, and like it feels right. It makes it feel like a science classroom to me. So that's what we're going with, you know. Okay. Admittedly, this is gonna be a long one, and I don't think I have enough about this build to say. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Um, oh, I did change the socials at the bottom of my my intro and my end screen, which you might have seen. I no longer have Twitter listed. Instead, what I've put there is called Hive Social. Now, I can't link to Hive as far as I'm currently aware, but it is basically just an alternative social media. It's just not Twitter. That would be it's something that exists outside of. It is run by like an independent couple of people who taught themselves coding, like that kind of a thing. Um People have been calling it an alternative to Twitter, which I think has given people the impression that it's like a Twitter clone, which it's not. It's its own thing. It's kind of like if MySpace and Instagram and Tumblr and Twitter had a baby, but that baby only had the features that the creators liked. you know? Um so that's kind of the vibe. That's the vibe of of Hive, and I like it. It's still like, it is still a work in progress, obviously, because it's run by a much smaller team. But it takes some work to figure out how to navigate it and all of that, but I enjoy it. I think that it's nice. Sometimes it's just nice to go with something that's a little bit smaller. And this is actually not something that I've talked about a whole lot as for why I chose that over, like, you know, Threads or some other Twitter alternative that's like bigger. And I have accounts on bigger social media, right? I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, I have a Tumblr. So like I don't feel like I'm losing out on that sort of an opportunity. And everyone who's on like Threads is on Instagram technically anyways. So I don't feel like I'm losing out on a potential audience there. But also when you have these platforms that are super duper big, there's this thing where the platform is saturated with content, right? Like getting discovered in a place, I know people have called Twitter the LinkedIn for content creators. And in a way that was true for a while, but also it's just it's there's a lot of content creators there, you know? So the reality is that when people are looking for a specific thing, they're not just going to find your specific thing, right? If you search for small streamers alone, you're going to pull up a whole bunch of things, and that's totally fine, but it's not it's not always the best for getting discovered, you know? So then you go into a place like Hive, which has a far smaller user base, right? But that also means that it's not as saturated with other content. So it's kind of like, it's kind of, there's pros and cons, obviously, to both, right? Where you can prioritize making sure that you can prioritize making sure that you're like getting in front of as many people as possible, or you can prioritize making sure that your content is going to become recognizable within like parameters and tags. And both of these are valid, and I think I've done a lot of the going with the bigger social media, and so sometimes it's just nice to try something new. And if it ends up just like not being beneficial, then I won't stick with it. Like I'm not married to the idea of staying there. But at the same time, I think I'm pretty confident with my decision to be there for right now. And that's just that's how it's gonna be. That's where I'm gonna be, and I'm good with that. So if you would like to check them out, they are available on both Android and Apple. So you can find them in the App Store, the Play Store. Uh, I will say that it does take a little bit of effort to figure out what you're doing, and you have to follow people if you want your feed to have anything on it. But they have introduced a For You page. I'm not really sure how their algorithm is, and let's be honest, no For You page algorithm is like on par with TikTok, so that's just an unrealistic expectation. Um, Also, again, this is an independently run app, so it's a very small team working on it. Have realistic expectations. It's not Twitter, it's not Facebook, it's not run by billionaires, it's not run by these big companies. It's a small project. But I still think that it's quite good, you know? Just realistic expectations. Yeah, so I have been changing my stream graphics. I've been changing some YouTube graphics to have Hive there instead. But if you don't want to deal with a whole new app, I have Instagram and Tumblr and TikTok. Like I said, it's not the end of the world, you know? And I have been getting on Tumblr more and more recently, which I'm quite proud of myself for, because I have this problem where when I am like interested in a social media, I have a really hard time going on other social media too. And as somebody who is a content creator, like, you gotta go on other social medias. And I know this. I know it to be true, but here we are. Um, and my fixation platform recently has been TikTok. It took a while, actually, which was the most surprising part. Like, I was not immediately super into TikTok. I tried it. I was like, yeah, this is okay. And then I would stop, and then I would try it again. It's officially happened. It's officially become a fixation. Um, so the fact that I'm getting back on any other app in the midst of a fixation, it takes a lot of conscious effort, which is so, that sounds so silly to say about, literally a, literally going on social media. But when you, again, when you're a content creator, this kind of thing is very important. So, Oh yeah. So another thing that I have done is I went and I did the Copperdale tile, and I did all of the edges and corners in the different tile options because it doesn't do it automatically. If you want it, you have to do it yourself. And it's not like it looked bad with like all plain, but I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. I will say that was probably one of the most frustrating parts of the whole build. Everything else was pretty much fine. It was really just that part that I was like, that and dealing with round walls, But I stand by my decision to do it. I really do. Um we're getting towards the end of the build now where I'm just adding some finishing touches and whatnot, and I feel like this is kind of the part where I'm like, what do you even put up? Like, I remember kind of what we had in my own high school, but I'm like, is this really the vibe? Is it I don't know. Is it the vibe? And I'm still not sure, but I'm proud of myself. I did some landscaping. Uh I had to because the bathrooms are on this front wall, so there's no windows there. So I had to do something to make that area look interesting. And make the roof interesting and all that good stuff. But I I I'm honestly pretty happy with how it came out in the end. Like, I'm I feel all right about it, um I'm definitely going to use it. Either in my legacy challenge when Florence is eventually in high school. Goodness, she's literally a toddler right now, I think. So we don't have to worry about that just yet, but when she is in high school, I think this is the high school that we will be playing with. I do have a different high school for my Not So Berry streams over on Twitch, which is one of the first ones that I ever built. So if you would like to see that, go check us out over on Twitch. We stream Not So Berry every Friday and every other Tuesday. And this week is a Not So Berry, or like this upcoming week is a Not So Berry Tuesday kind of a week. But yeah, we're just putting in some finishing touches and all of that. I'm going to let the build kind of finish out, and then we will hop into game and take a look at it. we are with the finished high school. I tried to put some stuff on the roof to make it a little more interesting, as well as like leveling it a bit. And it's, you know, it's a roof. It's fine. We've got this little area with like the high school sign that I put like some rocks and some gardeniness around, which I think is fun. And it also, I don't know, it gives me nostalgia, and I can't quite describe why. We've got this path that goes kind of like all around the school and matches the patio coloring. I did not give it a foundation either. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Here is the completed build. We've got a little overhang here for coming up in, and we've got our little womp womp. And for these like little corners where the stairs don't touch, I was like, you know what if we put a plant there? You know, cover anything that looks weird with a plant. That's the secret of life right there. Anyways, we come into the high school, and we've got this area with some seating and some lockers, and we've got the principal's office this way, and we've got the teacher's lounge that way. We've got a tile mosaic on the floor and all that good stuff. In here is the principal's office. I put a couple file cabinets in here. I've got some bookshelves and just some like wall decor. I also gave our principal her own little bathroom because sometimes you just need to pee without walking in on like a teenager vaping or something, you know? So it's what she deserves. It truly is. In here, we have the teacher's lounge. We've got a microwave. We've got a fridge. We've got a coffee pot. More wall decor and just a place to sit. I know there's only 2 teachers, but pretend there are 6 for each classroom. You know, it's The Sims, we pretend. So in here, we've got the cafeteria / hallway. So we've got the cafeteria station and all these tables. And then in here we also have some vending machines, but in here we have the library, which is literally, it's just books and some library cards. Very simple. The next room over is supposed to be the math room, and it is the most barren of the rooms because we have a surprising lack of mathematically themed decorations. Like, even within this pack, I feel like a lot of it was more like science, maybe? I don't know. But I didn't know what to do. I threw some stuff in here. There's some textbooks. That's about the best we could do. And then the next room over, this is our history / business class. So, or not history, social studies, you know. So we've got some world maps in here and all of that. And as for the business side of things, I didn't really put anything that screamed business, but to be fair, like, what screams business in The Sims, you know? And then in here we have the language arts / foreign language classroom with a bookshelf and some reading themed stuff. And I used some of these book cover pictures from the Book Nook kit. So pretty happy with that one. And then across the hall, we've got, of course, computer class with computers. We have got the art classroom, which I did not put any chairs in, because if you don't put chairs in a classroom, they'll literally just sit on the floor. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to sit on the floor. And then in here, we've got the science classroom. So like I was talking about, we have these like counter islands that we will pretend in this space they do experiments, and then they have a place to wash their hands. We've got a fire extinguisher and some science-y posters and whatnot. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it for the classrooms. In here, we've got a bathroom, and we've got the pool with some lifesavers. That's, yeah, the rings, the thingamabobs. And this, it's as simple as it gets. It's just a pool. We go upstairs, and in here we have a gym. So we've got a basketball hoop. I've also got some yoga stuff down. I've got some cheer mats down. I've got some workout equipment. You know, just some stuff for your Sims to do to to get their fitness skill up. We've got some showers for when you inevitably get stinky, and some more bathrooms because there's never enough bathrooms on lots, honestly. We've got some more vending machines, and then we have this room, which I kind of thought, like, hey, this could be like the chess club room. And then this room, which is supposed to be kind of like for debate club, because, I mean, debate clubs are a thing. So I like to include something that's like, yeah, they have a little debate club. So you have 2 Sims here debating, and the rest of the club is sitting here watching the debate. Yeah. In here, we have got a little theater / music room. So up here we have like performance stage, and then seats. And this, I mean, it's a simple little area. It doesn't really add much to the gameplay, but it's important to me that it exists, you know, as a theater kid myself. But yeah, that is everything inside. Oop. And then out here, this area is like for any gardening. We had a gardening club at my high school. I didn't know anybody was really in it, but we had one. And there was like a courtyard in the middle where they allegedly met. That's what they tell us. And then we have this outdoor seating area for when it's like summer or a nice spring or fall day and they can eat their lunch outside or just like hang out, you know? But yeah, so this is a completed high school. I did save it to my own personal library, but then I didn't, you know? So let's just, yeah. We're gonna share to the gallery. It has no unique name, but you can find it on my gallery as Awkward Fangirl 6. Let's see, what do we got? Oh gosh. Growing Together, High School Years, Snowy Escape, Discover University, Island Living. What I use from Island Living? Oh, right. Oh, well, that's not that bad. You can download it if you don't have Island Living. Get Famous, The Curtains, Seasons was the Spandrels, and okay, so it's not a lot. I know I used some decorations from Cats and Dogs Basketball Hoop. I know. What did I use from Outdoor Retreat? Oh, a tree, because it was bigger. I used a bit from Book Nook. And then, did I use something from Bathroom Clutter? Oh, in the okay, so yeah, like I said, I was not as well behaved with this one, and it used a few packs. I promise that I will not do that for the last build of this little back to school series. Pinky swear it. All right, I promise. I will see you guys on Thursday for another Legacy Challenge episode. Thank you for hanging out. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah.